Greetings, friends, crew member of our beloved, polluted, and unique spacecraft, which, since the last time we met, has taken another turn about its imaginary axis, and of course continues creating events in full development. They are the ones we will be sharing with you today. And it has taken 3 turns, actually, so today's Monday, so thank God it's Monday. It's been a decent weekend. We have created the events for today's network and today's news. So let us celebrate this Monday and let's work. So as it was expected, Mr. Trump is still part of the news. And of course, let us be reminded that in every movie of the best age of Hollywood, or the classics of Hollywood and literature, and the land of the free, keep a picture of the Statue of Liberty, those who need a new nation, blah, 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 blah. Now, the idea is don't come here, we don't want you here. And the maniac of the White House, if he could, would be developing a wall throughout all the border of Mexico. I crossed the wall of Berlin in the Cold War twice, but the Berlin Wall, as you can see, was nothing in regards to what this character tries to show today, so it's kind of dangerous, and it's also very ambitious. Let us be reminded that this guy in the White House now wants to be the commander-in-chief. Remember that we have been telling you this since he was in his campaign. So let's take a look at the events in full development. I think my visa will be taken away. Now, the topic is as follows. And another one. The land of the free, the one of the open arms. Trump says the United States will not be a camp for immigrants.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. This is an incredible time for our country. I would say that our economy, and many of you know that very well, is doing better than it ever has done.
It's a great time for our country. The economy is all doing well. So now he comes with his discharge. If the Democrats will sit instead of obstructing, then we could do something about migration very fast. Well, due to children, for the country, for the good of the world, and it could happen fast, and we could have a project for migration, and we could have a division between children. We are trapped with these terrible laws. They're awful laws.
What's happening is so sad.
What's happening is so sad. It could easily be understood wonderfully, and we'll have security. This could be something very interesting, something that can even go out to the world as if they were seeing a great economy and see how this is flying. They could see this. We have the worst immigration laws of the world.
In the entire world. Nobody has
Nobody has such sad, such bad feelings, and there are many, many cases that are tough and difficult based on laws. For instance, the separation of children from their parents. That's what's happening. It's like if he has nothing to do with this.
Very quickly. Good for the children.
The United States will not be a field of immigrants. It will be a detention center for refugees. It will not be. He is reading everything.
You look at what's happening in Europe, you look at what's happening.
You look at what's happening in Europe, look at what's happening in other places. We cannot allow this to happen in the United States.
This could really be something very special. It could be something maybe even for the world.
I could honestly say, and I will say this clearly, immigration is at fault in all the problems that we have, because we cannot get it to sign the legislation. We can even get them with negotiations. Speak about Democrats. So the Democrats are the ones obstructing this. They are obstructing. He continues and goes on and on.
Table. And I say it's very strongly the Democrats' fault. They're obstruction. They're really obstructionist, and they are obstructing.
Well, obstruction is to blame on Democrats, but the one violating human rights is this person. So the United States tell United States and tell him, therefore, that they need to stop with the separation of migrant families.
Stephen
Harich, spokesman of the General Secretary of the United Nations. This is the answer of the United Nations. Based on migrants and children of refugees, the Secretary General believes that refugees should always be treated with respect and dignity based on international laws in force. Children shouldn't be traumatized for being divided or separated from their parents. They should keep family union. Directly shooting against Trump. In the meantime, people continue protesting. Democrat legislators go through the detention center of migrants in New Jersey to pressure for the reform. They have signs. There's a woman holding a sign, and people meeting there in important delegations. Some Democrats in the lobby of the migration center, and the media together with the people, some law officers interacting through the window. This is in the detention center, and we can only listen at distance. And then there's a talk with the supervisor of this service, and then we have a congressman from New York who mentions the Constitution is unfair for this. We must apply something that tackles the reality of these people. Absolute security here, of course, with security through crystals, with guards, and also with some small halls in order to listen to what the rest of the people are saying. Congressman Joel Nair shows his ID before getting inside, as everyone else there.
Children with disabilities being taken from their parents, and most recently a distraught father choosing.
And for this is said, we shouldn't turn the backs on the people who are running away from gangs and from the pressure of politics. If the United States have a reason for being is that they should be a refugee. For those who shouldn't have political pressure or problems with the family, today's visit has strengthened my determination to fight against this injustice, because I know that all of the rest of the people here have the same determination.
Fleeing from danger, from murderous gangs, from political oppression. If the United States has any reason for being, it's to be a refuge and a haven for those who should not fear political oppression or violence on their families. Today's visit has strengthened my resolve to fight this injustice, as I'm sure it has the resolve of everyone else here.
It's Father's Day, damn it!
Bill Pascrell, congresista demócrata de New Jersey,
Democrat congressman. It's Father's Day. For God's sake, they have the right to speak to children. He doesn't even know where his children are. This is unacceptable. What did the Bible say when the children were speaking about this, about their final work? According to this is what they were going to say. Carolyn Maloney, Congresswoman of New York. It was very difficult to listen to three gentlemen, three of them, who were taken away from their children, from their brothers, from their own homes in the middle of the night. Here we're protesting for Trump's administration has divided by force families by taking children away from their parents. Believe me, they tear away them from their parents. This is not the right decision. They need to stop this. We are together to go back to Congress and fight for this.
It has got to stop, and we are united in going back to Congress and fighting for it.
Kellyanne Conway,
Counselor of the President of the States, defending him, saying, the President is ready to achieve a significant migratory policy. And Chuck, listen, no one wants to see their children being taken away from the hands or the belly of their mothers. But we need to understand that laws should be based on the culture where we live. There are three circumstances by which human rights are assessed on children in the border, and this children is not the one who has a custody relationship with adults. And secondly, the child at danger, there's a high likelihood, and they should be tackled specifically. And through time, some children are using children to get through the borders. I will do this, and no one likes this policy. And the president said on camera, I want this to end, but everyone has to do it. The Congress has to act. Then the police, now we're in Bosnia, they aren't allowing hundreds of migrants going through the border to Croatia. This is the problem of migrants everywhere in the world. In Majeva, that's a crossing point with Bosnia, police officers and migrants, Croatian officers who are there next to the border crossing area, and other groups attempted to do so, and awaiting with the shadow of a tree. Police officers walking down the field. Some of them have equipment prepared for any circumstance. These are the shields they're bringing in order to stop any type of violent demonstrations. The manager of the police force mentioned around 11 today, 9 GMT, 200 immigrants arrived at the border area of Majevac, attempting to illegally cross the border. Bosnian police intervened on time, and they were not allowed to cross illegally our border.
Od strane policije Bosne i Hercegovine, znači oni su locirani, zaustavljeni na vrijeme i spriječeni u ilegalnom prelasku.
Migrants were in the same as always, and the story behind it is that the Bosnian police blocked on Monday 200 migrants that demanded to pass to Croatia, a border area in both countries, and around 100 police officers blocked the border from the Croatian side. When migrants were on the way on the Bosnian side of the cross, were refusing to leave the area. And around 11 today, they reached the border zone on Majevac, around 200 migrants attempting to cross illegally the border. They are emphasizing this once again. The Bosnian police officer intervened on time and they were stopped or apprehended according to the manager of the force of Croatia. They bring all the equipment necessary to face the people trying to cross the border. The Western Balkans published a video on Twitter that shows hundreds of migrants attempting to cross the border. Bavarian allies give Merkel an ultimatum of 2 weeks in this push for migration. München, the Minister of the Interior of Germany, Horst Seehofer, arriving, President of CSU and Minister of the Interior, who mentioned, if we are allowed to get the same result, this means rejecting people in the border in June in Europe or with bilateral agreements, then we'll be very happy with this result. We would like to wish the Chancellor the best of luck with our position, but we need to be capable of immediately rejecting people who are not wanting in the borders.
Für den Fall, dass dies nicht gelingt, die Zurückweisung unmittelbar an der Grenze möglich sein muss.
Y luego dijo la CSU, su partido, apoya todos los esfuerzos por
The
soluciones
CSU, the party, provides all support to the European positions on this topic. We have never said doubt on this.
Auf diesem Feld jede europäische Lösung, jedes Bemühen europäische Lösungen.
We aren't responsible for the political decisions that have divided Europe. We particularly support the efforts of the Chancellor for bilateral agreements about the return of people without the right for asylum in Germany.
Und diese Unterstützung gilt im Besonderen für die Bemühungen jetzt der Kanzlerin für bilaterale Abkommen.
Everything related to migration isn't yet under control. There will be some improvement, but this is not under control. As we would like to say in Germany, we have a system to control and ensure legal security based on our constitution. There's a lot of work to be done here. The Minister of Interior of Germany, President of the CSU, said, "No one is looking for the end of coalition or breaking the parliamentary alliance or failing the government, at least no one that I know about."
So im Griff haben, dass ich der Bevölkerung sagen kann, es ist jetzt ein Regelwerk in Kraft, das rechtsstaatlich einwandfrei sowohl die Zuwanderung gestaltet und steuert.
Schoffer
will not speak about whether Merkel will fire him if he continues with his plan of not being able to achieve an agreement with the EU. But no one wants, at the end of the day, with a coalition of Merkel, a breakage of the parliamentary alliance of the CDU and CSU alliance in the eventual collapse of Germany's government, a possibility that no one wants, but that could take place in the situation that is currently developing. So there's a struggle that the whole of Europe is following. In the meantime, migrants continue being part of the agenda. So this is still generating some problems in Germany, and we will need to see what's happening in the sea. We need to measure what's happening with words and in the Mediterranean Sea. In Almeria, Spain, the rescue workers, maritime rescuers, dropping down with a wire to help people in the ocean, and helicopters there as well working for rescue. This one is trying to rescue these people who are facing the worst of conditions. We don't have any source audio, but the images are quite shocking. Migrants holding on the wire from the helicopter. They were literally thrown a wire. Rescue workers for migrants who are adrift in the sea with all the ones who were allowed to be part of this vessel. A rescue ship of Germany in the platform that arrived to the harbor in Almeria. And these colors, so bright. They're usually like this for rescue workers, for them not to be confused with any other colors of the environment. Bright colors because they are the ones needed for rescue. So they arrived at the harbor. The ship transporting migrants arrived at the harbor, and Erdogan in Turkey mentioned that Kurdish groups have abandoned Manbij area. What did we say? Terrorist organizations will abandon Manbij. They have started leaving already, and now patrolling has started as well. Why? Brothers, those who know how to make proper business. Here we have the army, here we have our commander, assuming his position as commander-in-chief. The Manbij border are so around.
Münbit şehrinin etrafında devreye gezmeye başladı. Ve şu anda
a crowd that was summoned by Erdogan in this difficult time, military vehicles from Turkey driving down the road, deploying the flags and showing them pictures of a convoy being shown by the media near certain buildings, and children who are there with the Turkish soldiers who were coming back, and pictures of Turkish that are in the streets next to the military vehicles. These are the children we were mentioning before. And President Erdogan has said on Monday that the soldiers were abandoning this area. It was previously mentioned that Kurdish and American soldiers have started doing so. Japan, where we are right now, confirms 3 dead and over 200 wounded in the Osaka earthquake. Take a look at the camera's vibration. Of course, these are posts or poles, so this amplifies the sensation. Either way, it's brutal. This is the evacuation route, and they're used to this type of events here. However, this one has been quite dramatic. And, well, we need to see what happened.
Colapso de pared sobre una niña de
A wall
9 años.
collapsed over a 9-year-old,
Y los dibujitos al lado del edificio.
and there are some drawings near the building.
La piscina no se
This
fue a
pool
la calle, no se sabe cómo ni por qué.
stood, we don't know how.
Tremendo oleaje se generó allí.
There were some
Bueno,
waves,
la evacuación de
however.
emergencia,
So emergency
las antenas de las
evacuation,
escuelas
the
la
antenna
comunicación
of schools for communication,
y antenas de vehículos militares
and
y
other
personal
antenna
fuera
of
del
military
hospital
vehicles and
evacuando.
personnel outside of the hospital
El
evacuating the
secretario
area.
jefe del gabinete de
The
Yoshihide
secretary
Suga
manager of
podremos
the
llegar a
cabinet
una conferencia de
will soon
prensa
arrive to a
para
press
tratar de
conference
generar calma y dar un informe objetivo de la
to
realidad, que
bring
es bastante
tranquility and
dramática.
provide an objective
Pero
report
como allá se
on the
construye
reality
pensando
that's
en
quite
los grandes
dramatic.
terremotos,
But they build
podría
buildings
decirse
that are
que
thinking about earthquakes, so it could be said that this wasn't
parece un
as
lugar
cold as it
común,
could have
pero
been elsewhere.
realmente el
It
terremoto
seems
fue
to be a
importante
commonplace,
y la
however.
arquitectura adecuada
The earthquake was
es que está
important,
permitiendo
and
ver
the
este tipo
architecture
de
allows
estructura que
to
prácticamente
see this type
parece
of
haber
structures
resistido
holding.
el
They seem to have been able to
le dieron las
withhold
vibraciones, fue
the earthquake.
impresionante.
As you saw, the vibrations were amazing.
Bueno, vehículos militares
Military
de todo
vehicles
tipo,
and every kind of
ayudando a la
vehicle,
evacuación de
all
heridos y
helping the
llevándolos a los
evacuation
hospitales.
of them.
El secretario jefe del gabinete, Yoshihide
The
Suga,
manager of the cabinet,
al mando
Yoshihide
de la
Shida,
situación y tratando
in
de
command of the
generar
situation
calma.
and trying
Los
to
japoneses
create
tienen mucha
calmness.
experiencia en esto, ¿no? Pero no
Japanese
deja
have
de
a lot of
ser
experience
dramático.
with this, but it's still
Parece
dramatic.
aficionado a la conferencia de
This is the person we're speaking about.
大阪府部を震源とする地震について
El número de víctimas
The
humanas por el
number
terremoto
of
que azotó el
deaths
norte de Osaka esta mañana
in the
es
north
el
of Osaka
siguiente.
this morning
Tres
is the
muertos,
following: 3 deaths,
214 heridos.
214 wounded.
Ese algo dramático, hay que admitir que es bajo el número de muertos.
Even though it's dramatic, number of dead
Esperamos
people is
posibles
quite low.
réplicas y réplicas
We are
fuertes durante
expecting
la
certain
próxima semana.
aftershocks during the
Todos
next
deben estar
weeks.
alertas para los
Everyone should be
terremotos
alert to
de
the earthquakes.
intensidad máxima
They will have a maximum
en la escala
intensity
japonesa de
in
6
the
que afectan la
Japanese
región que ya ha sido
scale of
afectada.
6 that will affect
Las
the region
salidas en
has
el
already been
aeropuerto
affected.
tienden a normalizarse.
Airports with
Aeropuerto de
normal
Osaka,
conditions. This
Itami.
is the Osaka airport,
Advertencia de
Itami.
vuelos suspendidos por
There's a warning of
verificaciones
suspended flights
hasta que
due
todo
to
esté
verification
operativo,
until everything
pero
becomes
verdadero
operational once
chequeo,
again,
¿no?
but with real
Pero
verifications
todo el mundo
actually.
acostumbrado a
But
este tipo de
everyone is used to
eventos
these
espera
type of
tomar su
events
avión.
happening, and everyone waiting to
Tres
take their
personas murieron y
planes.
más de 200
3
resultaron
people died,
heridas
over
después del terremoto
200
de magnitud
were wounded
6,1
after the
que estremeció Osaka, la
6.1
segunda metrópoli
earthquake
más
that
grande
hit
de
Osaka,
Japón.
the second
Hoy en
biggest
la mañana
city of Japan.
dijo el gobierno
Today's
japonés
morning, according to the Japanese government, once again.
se había emitido una advertencia
A
por
warning
tsunami.
had been previously issued for a tsunami.
Y sin embargo,
Nevertheless,
algunos problemas.
there have been some
Manifestación
problems.
de paz
The strike
ahorita
for
en
peace
Kabul
in Kabul.
están cansados de la guerra.
They're
Manifestaciones
tired of
patrios
war.
agotados en Kabul. Un grupo de comunidad de paz
So in
afgana
Kabul,
que comienza
a
su
group
largo
of
viaje
peace
de
communities
Ashgabat
start their long trip from Ashgabat
donde pueda llevarlos al lugar de paz esta carretera.
to a place that could bring them to peace throughout this road, Archesab mainly.
Dios es grande, Allahu Akbar, queremos vivir.
All
queremos
praise
el
God,
fin
we
de la
want to
guerra.
live, we want the war to end.
Que queremos la paz.
What do we
Llamamos a
want?
las
We want
partes,
peace.
al
We're
gobierno
calling both
talibán,
parties,
a
the
encontrar un
government
camino
of the
para la paz y
Taliban, to find a way
extender
for
el alto el
peace
fuego.
and
Sentimos
continue
un
with the
dolor en nuestros
ceasefire.
corazones.
We feel pain in our
Ese es el
heart,
dolor de nuestra
and this is
gente
the
que
pain
está
of our
sufriendo
people
por
who are
estos
suffering due
conflictos.
to these conflicts.
Queremos un cese del fuego y
We
queremos
want a
que ambas partes
ceasefire and want
alcancen
both
una
parties
paz duradera en el
to reach a
país.
long-lasting peace for our country.
Que queremos la paz. Me he
What do we
unido-
want?
me he
Peace.
unido a esta caravana de
I
paz
have
en
joined this
Kandahar.
caravan for
Nuestro
peace in
objetivo es la
Kandahar,
paz.
and our objective is
Queremos
peace,
paz en
only
nuestro
peace,
país,
one
un
peace in
grito
our
de
country. This
los
is
que
the
han sobrevivido a los
unanimous
combates y pueden
shout of the
caminar
people.
también
Those who have
su manera.
survived and can walk are part of this march as well.
Cientos de manifestantes pacifistas acá
Thousands
llegaron
of
exhaustos a la capital Kabul
peaceful
hoy,
protesters reached the
18 de
capital
junio,
Kabul
después de
today
pasar
on
un mes
June
de ayuno de
18th
Ramadán,
after
que
1
desató
month
el
of
país
fasting
bajo
due
el
to
sol
Ramadan,
devastador.
across in the country under the devastating sun, and there were also victims to everything related to war. Take a look at the footprints after the walk. All of them met, including professors, students, old people that were even using wheelchairs, were welcomed, and the women of the people brought the Quran with them. Outside of this, there was a funeral in Palestine. A Palestinian was killed in the fence with Israel. Another one, the never-ending story. So this is a funeral procession for a Palestinian person killed by Israeli forces, people outside of the morgue. And as often, they're shooting the air whenever they're happy, whenever they're in anger, whenever they're sad. During the procession for the funeral, Palestinians part of this procession. This person died today when the forces of Israel blew apart of a building while they were on the other place. The 24-year-old died in the north of Gaza, and it increased the death count of 2 months of fights where over 105 Palestinians have been killed during the strikes, massive strikes, and sometimes even violent. A never-ending story. 125 Palestinians killed. And the resolutions of the United States, well, apparently didn't do anything. So this is quite dramatic. My satellites don't show any new information. I'm taking a look at 3 of them. If not, we'll let you know about this. So we're going to continue with a short commercial break, and we'll come back with more events and full involvement. There we are. Thank you.
In South America and the Caribbean, we face challenges, looking for ways of contributing to solutions to the nations. With a uniting feeling, though before the attack of those imposing themselves, we defend an ideal of an inspiring struggle. We are together, preserving our traditions, integrated, being one South.
We're back with more events in full development. Our coordinator, Pedro Espinel, just brought in what we have for the second block of our show. Of course, we have timely information, and it came a while ago. In the Bolivarian Army for Dossier, information about Bravo Eco 11, Simón Bolívar vessel operational activities, Bravo Eco 11 for the 30th cruise, Belle Dominica 2018. On Sunday, hardboard on Cuauhtemoc. Cuauhtemoc is the training ship of the Mexican Army. This means that the sides touch, because not all of them have a place where to dock, so often vessels are set one next to the other and crews get to know each other. So the right side of the Cuauhtemoc ship was next to our ship. This is in Callao. When we speak about the word marginal, we don't speak about anything bad. It's just something of a word of Navy. And they continue with the Protocolo de Regatta and the ceremony by getting the visit of Reinaldo Segovia Tovar, who is the attaché of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela created in Peru, and Admiral Reyes Núñez, who is the Bolivarian Admiral of the Bolivarian Army. So they're next to Cuauhtemoc vessel in Callao. This means that everything is in order. And this is a very good moment because now they have set harbor and there's nothing better than to reach a port from time to time. They're here, somewhere in this area. They're close to Lima. However, they have their own environment down there. So after saying this, what else do we have? Navy glossary, Cerrazón, and this brings back memories. When we were in the Uruguayan coast, Cerrazón is a word in Spanish. And it happens whenever you're enjoying the sun and all of a sudden the weather changes. And then dark clouds come closer and closer and closer. And then your day at the beach is over. So it means darkness of the sky covered by dark clouds, bringing storms. And the Rio de la Plata in front of Montevideo is a graveyard for ships, or a shipyard. But when things get tough and there are cold winds from the Antarctica with the thermal temperatures of Brazil, this gets very, very fun. Jorge Eliezer Carranza, captain and officer, Antonio Mejia Ponte, captain and coordinator of control, and Francisco Frechel Aranda, commander of the Bolivarian Army. Good luck whenever they continue sailing on Bravo Eco 11. And they are doing what everyone does in port. They take advantage of the situation and even carrying out protocol visits, cultural visits, and other types of visits as well. Let's take a look at the events in full development, and this means what we have selected from you for everything regarding our second block, which is quite important. So it is very interesting. Okay, now it's more interesting that it's no longer gray. So what do we have here? Pay attention to this. A protest in Macedonia against the Treaty of Greece. The national flag of Macedonia can be seen there. It's not well known here in this continent. And people on the street are saying, my great-grandfather was from Macedonia, and his grandfather was also from Macedonia, and my children are from Macedonia. I would like my grandchildren from Macedonia as well, because any other country would change their name at some point. Is there any country like this? I cannot understand this. Why do we have to be the first one resigning to our name? And there's something we don't speak about. This is an absolute catastrophe, an absolute destruction of Macedonia. This will be a country from the one that we'll see tomorrow, but this wasn't what we were building. It's a catastrophe. This shit made of politicians against our will.
líder de la fiesta, comenzando
the leader mentioned in this dark tunnel. For us, one thing is certain: the Prime Minister, Saeb, must go down in order for Macedonia to rise. Saeb caerá, Saeb will fall so that Macedonia can rise up. Protesters went to the streets in Macedonia to show their disagreement between their country and Greece to solve the previous dispute in the coalition led by Saudi Arabia.
Fuertes lluvias es lo que estamos viendo.
Heavy rains in India that took the life of over 20 people in India. This happens so frequently, and it continues always killing people. 700,000 people have been hurt by this event. The rains in India have already damaged 700,000 people and 23 people dead so far, according to the management organization of the country. The situation in the area had just started improving, however, 6 people were killed. So it's a real storm. And the coalition led by Saudi Arabia got into the Godaiya airport, and they bombed Houthi fighters that were in the Yemen's airport. Also, Apache helicopters created a lot of damage. The UAE exhorts Houthis to retreat from Jordan.
Ammar
Gargash
habla a su par de Relaciones Exteriores.
Speaks with his counterpart of Foreign Affairs. We are sending a clear signal to Houthis and others who need to retreat because their days in the city are numbered, and we must do everything in our power to save the population.
In
the press conference, he mentioned, we have planned clearly the human challenge, so we have created gradual operations that should be adjusted to allow the port to properly function. Additionally, if there's any combat in the periphery, we must have the docks working. We have moved to the airport and we fought in the roads in Sinai, and we fought for the port. The port is now flooded. Today, there are ships who are unloading and other ships awaiting to unload what we need.
Registering to come in.
El ministro de Estado de los Emiratos Árabes
The Minister of State for the UAE for Foreign Affairs in Rashi mentioned, what is this enemy that we are seeing today? I think that this is important. Our calculations also between 2,000 and 3,000 fighters. The militia is not described and don't wear any uniforms, minority work as well as snipers, and intensive use of mines. And a lot of these mines are also manufactured in Iran.
Snipers with heavy, extensive use of anti-personnel and other mines. Many of these mines also.
Todo el mundo le dispara a Irán, ¿eh?
Everyone's shooting at Iran. But of course, he answered, for our on-course operation, I will not be discussing the amount of forces of the coalition, but we have the force of the coalition as well as Yemeni forces of different brigades that are working there. And we have increasing numbers.
Numerical superiority. I mean, that much I will say.
The Minister of State of the United Arab Emirates for Foreign Affairs continued with his press conference and Anwar Gargash.
The UN attempt to try and and pull a rabbit out of the house.
The United States are trying to do something and accepting Houthis here, but these are operational plans about how we decide to achieve our goals. I want to discuss this in a different place, not today. So, a very interesting conference, but nothing beyond what they wanted to say. That was it. The Minister of the United Arab States mentioned that the Houthis' days are numbered. The messenger sent by the Pope brought the apology of Pope Francis to the victims of sexual abuse in Chile. This is something nauseous, disgusting, gross, shameful. Pope Francis requested of me to ask for forgiveness to each one of the faithful of the Diocese of Osorio and all the inhabitants of this land for having hurt them and offended them deeply. And that was it. That's it. Jesus Christ wasn't as harsh in the scriptures as the ones that are abusing minors. I ask forgiveness to the Pope. He should be capable, with TV, as he insulted us, to ask for forgiveness. I welcome this. It is something that they acknowledge the situation of Osorno, but there are still certain things missing, because they must acknowledge why Monsignor Barrios de Osorno. The cycle is closed, and we are working with our parishes from the inside to be able to change the mindset.
Está muy bueno eso. Sin verdad y sin justicia no hay paz.
Without truth and without justice, there is no peace. We speak to the country and to the world. With Juan Barros Madrid, this hasn't still reached our diocese, nor peace nor justice. On the other hand, today we start a long process of healing that will last for very long. We have asked for forgiveness. We have said peace, and then we see these signs that we don't understand and we want an explanation for it. They've changed the bishop, and they have kept on fighting. I was raped, and I am able to forgive. I can forgive. Forgiveness is divine.
Este tema da asco.
This is disgusting.
Y no se ve un castigo proporcional al daño que hicieron.
And there isn't any punishment that would contemplate the damage done. People in El Salvador protesting against the law for privatization of water. They are willing to sell their country to privatize water. After this, what will they privatize? Air? There's a national alliance against water privatization. This group of organizations project the intentions of the private company of having decision-making capacities over the water resource. The right wing in the Congress deny that this is a privatization, even though they promote a law project that will enable the big company to control the regulation entity of water. In this country, it's difficult to believe the rhetoric of the right wing after the former privatization of utilities. Well, Brazil, beyond this topic, are expecting Lula to be set free after the Supreme Court failed against Judge Moro. International media show that the Supreme Court of Brazil ratifying that they will have someone bearing witnessing from the force and that should go to jail as the last resource if this person is not showing any formal talks. So the Supreme Court of Brazil failed against the practice of the Operation Lava Jato. By the majority was declared unconstitutional the coercion situation, the legal instrument to provide a witness by force, as it happened by Sergio Moro, judge with President Lula da Silva. Interesting. This, of course, seismographer. So, 5.6 Richter scale earthquake in Guatemala struck Guatemala on Monday, according to the Geological Service of the United States. The epicenter took place in the Guanacaste municipality in the south-central region of the country, with a depth of over 100 kilometers. According to reports, this was felt in different departments of Guatemala and also in El Salvador. However, there are no reports of deaths or material damages in the country, and there aren't any alarms for tsunami. We have some official statements from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. They just came in. This is the first one. I will read this. with a voice. Venezuela expresses their condolences to Japanese people for the victims of the earthquake in Osaka. The government of the Republic of Venezuela provides their condolences to the Japanese people for the humane and other losses in Osaka in the west of the country. Based on this unfortunate event, the government of Venezuela shows their solidarity after this tragedy and hopes for a soon recovery of the wounded after this event. The Bolivarian government of Venezuela shows their friendship and solidarity with the people of Japan, and I personally feel the same with the people of Japan that share their life with us. There's another statement. Thank you, Coordinator. A statement. This is a tweet. Venezuela communicates the International Court of Justice that they will not partake in the procedure fostered by Guyana. Venezuela, a communique from the International Court of Justice, will not participate in the procedure fostered by Guyana. The Ministry of People of Power for Foreign Relations reports that today, June 8, 2018, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, represented by a delegation headed by the Vice President of the Republic, Delcy Rodriguez Gomez, together with Chancellor of the Republic, Jorge Arraza Montserrat, have attended the meeting summoned by the President of the International Court of Justice, Mr. Abdul Qawi Ahmed Yusuf, in Guyana, against the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela about Guyana Esequiba. The presentation of Venezuela, after paying their respects to this International Court of Justice, have communicated to the President of the Court
de 1966.
66.
Con la espiritualidad bolivariana.
With the Bolivar. By diversity, respect, fraternity, solidarity, and cooperation. We will do everything in our power for prosperity served by all of our America, being them the value, overcoming forever the sequels of the empire in the past as a present for the future, for the dignity of all our peoples. Strong and clear words, once again showing the firm position about this long-lasting topic that Venezuela had before, and now the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela even more. No one wants the worst for the neighbors, at least those on that side. However, the other ones do want the worst for us. But history has demonstrated that this country and their armed forces who are part of the people whenever they've crossed the borders, it has been to free 5 nations, including the neighboring countries who dropped their trousers with 7 bases and granted the sovereignty of air, maritime, and land spaces, and everything we already are aware of. But those who are willing to sell our nation tend to persevere, whatever the case may be. This is all the information we have for today. And when our beloved, polluted, and unique spacecraft had taken another turn about its imaginary axis, we will once again be back in this information trench to share with you the little big story of the following 24 hours. So from Studio 3 of Venezuela Televisión, the Dossier channel of Venezuelan TV. Remember that this is not a Telesur show, so don't send any reports there because I don't receive them. It is my own show. I'm an independent producer. Everything here has been created by me, and I designed it even. I just want to emphasize that I'm willing to speak to all of you. However, I am committed as always. I read everything. I am, however, unable humanly to respond to all of this. But those who have been answered, believe me, based on my work capacity. So as a producer and host of the Dossier program in all the Western Hemisphere of international satellite information, this was Walter Martinez. Wherever you may be, thank you very much for allowing us to be there with you. Director, the floor is all yours.